Hello and welcome along to another episode of this FM19 story, part of the furniture with me, Daniel. It's season 6, episode 2, and today the loan window shuts at 5 o'clock and we've got some business to do. Before at the weekend we face Wigan, the current league leaders, away from home in League One. But first, before we start with any of that action, if you haven't seen the first episode of this season yet, go back and check it out. It's important you meet all the new players, all the new faces around. We had a busy summer, which we're hoping to complete today. I'll put a link in the eye above, so go back if you haven't seen it yet, and then pop back over when you're done. But for us today, the first part of this episode is focusing on what we do and how we panic on the last day of the window. We've done it once or twice before, but usually we've not been looking for too much, and it's just been about adding someone if they're really special. But today we've got one position where we have no cover, so we've got to go for an extensive look to find someone in that position. We've also got one or two at the club that we'd like to get off the wage bill for the season. Obviously the transfer window's shut, but we can still get their wages paid elsewhere, as well as giving them first team football. So let's go and have a look at the squad. You'll have to bear with me because we've just played a cup game, so it's a little bit out of sync to what it normally looks like. So we're just going to clear the team selection and put everyone in position order. Okay, so we've got our two keepers. Generally our squad depth's pretty good this year. I was looking at it yesterday. Our fullbacks are stronger than they were. And in fact, our backup fullbacks were both first choice at some point last season. We've got 4 centre-halves and our third choice was a regular starter for the first half of last season. Both of our backup wingers were starters last year and Broja's a brilliant sub-striker. So what we're really looking for is the one position we have no cover, which is our new role, the number 10 position. David Crawford's come in. He's a brilliant 18-year-old. He's performing really well, as you can see. We want to keep him in the first 11, give him as much as experience as possible, but he's going to be young, inconsistent and make a few mistakes, and we don't always want to have to go to a front two when that happens. So as a result, we're going to be looking at a replacement for him, and as well as being able to play in that number 10 position, we'd quite like the sub to be able to play in central midfield. Although we've got decent backups, McCoon, Weir and Richards are all really young, and we don't want to have to rely on them if we get a 4 or 5 month injury. Jack Clark is still at the club, but he's certainly not going to be able to cut it, and we'll probably loan him out as the season goes on. He's really lost some of his physical attributes since the injury, and although he's still better than some of the lads, I'm not sure he's going to be a first choice for us ever in the future. He's already unhappy we've touted him for loan, and we'll be doing that yet again today. So let's go through and first offer the players out we'd like to get off the wage bill. Clark, again, he's on $1,500 a week. It's big money for us at this level, and the same for Connor McKendry. He went from our first choice winger last year to being 3rd or 4th this season, so he's going out as well. Since the last episode, we have done a little bit more business, which we'll go and introduce in a moment, and we've also got some results to reflect on, so let's go and have a look at all that quickly. If we go to our transfer business, we rejected an offer for Eamon McCabe, only around 200 grand. Last year we were offered around £1 million in January, so we'll wait for that sort of offer again. But since the last episode, no one's come into the club, but we have let a few out. Most of all, Robert Humphreys, a player who we signed on a free a couple of years ago. He's been out on loan, but we've sold him to Leeds for 550 grand. The reason for this, we've got a 50% sell-on clause. He's on loan at Billericay in the Football League. If he happens to make it, then we'll make big money out of him when he gets sold on. If not, we've made our money back from a free agent signing. Moving on, we sold Andrew Nelson, a decent player for us, scored a crucial goal if you remember back in the National League, the playoff semi-final against Wrexham. I think it was the 93rd minute he won it in, so really fond memories for him. And then I think he scored in the playoff final as well, but don't hold me to that. It was a long time ago back in season 2. But a brilliant player for us, just gone a bit too far up the ladder for him now. So he's moved on to Stockport, who are in the National League. And then Tom Walker on loan. Again, another one we didn't get to sell during the window. So we're just making sure he gets football. And Dagenham are paying all £850 of his wage. So he's doing well down in the National League too. And hopefully they'll get good experience and prolong their careers at a lower level. In terms of results, we've had a really decent start. We haven't actually lost a game yet, just a few too many draws in there for my liking. 1 or 2 less, and it could have been almost the perfect start. You were with me for that Gillingham game where we started our experiment with the front two, which we hadn't trained at all in pre-season. We haven't played that formation since, barring a cup game. In the league following that, we won 2-1 away at Colchester. Look who it was in the 93rd minute with a winner. Owen Jack popping up, his second of the game, sandwiched by a pink card goal for Colchester. Then moving on to Bradford away, we drew 0-0. Wasn't the best game, but we definitely had the better of it. We just couldn't get over the line. We did win on penalties at home to Brentford of the Championship in the Carabao Cup first round. Broja scored a great goal in that one. We did play one up front again there as Crawford came into the side, and we scored every single penalty, which is something that if you've been following the series the whole way, you'll know is an absolute miracle. We then won 1-0 at home to our rivals Plymouth. Jack Stacey scored a penalty in that one. We actually conceded a penalty late on, but Alex Bass, being the hero he is, came to the rescue with a wonderful save. And then our most disappointing result was away at Charlton. We were 3-0 up after 55 minutes. Charlton went 3 up front and we just couldn't handle it. The two fullbacks were actually quite poor in that game and Johnny Byrne made an individual error. Without that we probably would have won the game. But again, Owen Jack and David Crawford both getting on the score sheet. As did Jack Stacey, who's starting to look a proper signing on the right wing. We then won at home 2-1 to Bristol Rovers. You can see we're certainly not blowing teams away, but we're getting the job done and we'd like to be more efficient this year. You can see aside from that Charlton game and probably the first one at Gillingham, we've been really sound defensively, and that's something that we haven't had for a long time, probably since our first couple of seasons. Crawford and Jack were again the goal scorers in this game. They're really starting to gel and form a formidable partnership, so hopefully that'll continue throughout the season. Although with two young players, we know there will be inconsistencies. We've just got to hope that Owen Jack doesn't get his head turned in January again. We then played away to Championship MK Dons in the Carabao Cup. You'll remember in the 5-year review I was particularly unhappy that they'd snuck through the playoffs in 6th place. Jack Sowerby got an early goal for them, but we came back brilliantly. Elliot List with a goal, and then Broja, who was in up front with a brace, alongside James Collins, as we had to revert to our 4-4-2 with a sub-team, as we didn't have a backup number 10. So we go into the Wigan game full of confidence, but they're top of the league, so they must be full of it too. So it should be a really great game, but I'm hoping we can do some transfer work before then. We've obviously mentioned we need a number 10 who can ideally play in central midfield as well. We never use the player search screen here, so we've got 3 ways of looking. First of all, we're going to go to our scouting centre. So let's have a look at the players that are already there. I can see Robert Humphries has been scouted again. I'm not sure we're going to be re-signing him. Who's this Jordan Stevens in there? He's unhappy. He's a central midfielder. He might be a good signing, but I don't know that we'd be able to get him on a loan. Let's go and have a look, shall we? He looks a really good player. I don't know he's the signing we want. They won't consider a loan, so it doesn't really matter. We don't want to send the offer. Let's go and narrow it down as we would normally. We're going to go to a position of number 10 as you'd expect. We're going to check our transfer status. We've gone all the way down to doubtful as we don't mind too much who it is, remembering that we can only sign players on loan or as a free agent. So we're going to look at the transfer list, put them in ability order because we're not worried about a long-term goal here. Crawford's going to be the number 10 of the future. We just want a player for this season to do the job. So Samuel looks a decent pro. He's a free agent at the moment, so he could be someone that's useful. Ideally, I'd rather have a loan, but we won't rule him out just yet. If we change it over to the loan listed players as well, just in case there's someone special in there, these are the only 4 about. Jack Beachy, the best of them, but he can't really pass a ball, which is something I don't like in a number 10. And he's not naturally a playmaker, and we don't want to have to be changing our shape and our roles and responsibilities when we change the 11. So we're going to go back and we're going to offer the free agent a deal. We might not sign him yet, we're just giving ourselves an option. So if we approach to sign him, he wants $2,000 a week. If we can get that down to $1,500, it's great. And more importantly, he only wants a 1-year deal. So you'll see for me, I'm quite stern when negotiating a transfer deal. I'll work on all the clauses and everything else. We'll start low and then work up if we have to. Normally, as long as the agent fee's high, they won't really mind too much. Let's try and work it down again. You can see now why it takes me so long in between seasons and why I had to do a 5-year review in between. I do hope you enjoyed that. As we continue to press, we're not letting him get any extra money. We just want to make sure that we've got a backup for the year. The unused sub fee's an important one for me because that's what they're going to be most of the time. If we can get him in on $1,600 a week, that'll be a good deal. But obviously we can't expect that one to go through today, as free agent deals can go through at any time till March. There's Scott Clark here as well who looks okay. I'm not sure about him. He's at Aberdeen and he's a shadow striker, so we're not going to worry about that one either. There's 2 other places we can look for our players. So firstly, if we go back and look at the league, we can go to the papers. That's what we always do on deadline day. Who are we being linked with, and are any of them any good? It doesn't look like there's anyone here that's worthwhile. We're just going to have a look. Are there any loan players being linked? This is just the newspaper columns you'd look for in real life. There's a 17-year-old midfielder here. Is he the player we're looking for? Most certainly not. We don't know enough of his attributes, and he's not a particularly attack-minded player. So option 2 doesn't normally give us much. We just have to have a little look in case there's something special. It's what I'd do in real life, so that's what I need to do here. Finally, we can ask our director of football, do you know of anyone that you haven't told us about yet? So free transfers number 10, and then we're going to do the same for loan listed as well. And I've just seen a name pop up there who's just joined Luton in real life, who might be an absolute gem. It's going to be hard for me not to sign him now I've seen it. But let's look at all 6 of them to be fair. Lee Ramsbottom, what a name that is from Celtic. Doesn't look particularly good technically. Phil Walker, again this is the problem when we get to this last resort. We don't really have much knowledge on the players and it's quite hard to make a judgment call based on it. So we'll only look for someone if they're particularly exceptional. No stamina for Carl Scott, so we're not having that. Armando Dobra, I don't know if I can handle 2 Albanian Armandos. I'm sure that would get quite confusing during the games. Again, doesn't look technically brilliant, so we're not going to worry about him. Ronan Darcy, he looks very good technically, but hasn't got much else. But don't forget, these guys are free agents now, so where they're particularly good, we can offer them a 4-week trial. Due to the Brexit we've had in game, we do unfortunately have to worry about foreign player limits too, which is why Dobra probably won't be coming in. And then the one Luton have just signed in real life, playing at the top of League One, he looks a good pro. George Moncur, not got much left physically, but again a good playmaker and natural in both roles. So possibly the best option we could have asked for. We just need to see if he'll join us on a good wage, wants to be a backup. Promotion next year, which is suggesting he'll want a 2-year contract, but at this point I'm not too worried if the wage is right. So we'll come back when we get to offer him a deal, and hopefully we'll have some news of both ins and outs as the day goes on. Right, I'm afraid no one's put in a loan bid for either player, so it looks like our wage bill is going to be slightly high. Don't forget, when it gets to National League clubs, they can make loan bids throughout the season. So we're not too worried for now, but it's a little bit concerning that no one in League 2 wants these players when they were so key in our promotion from that level. In better news, we've got the chance to talk to George Moncur. He wants less than the other guy, so we're going to offer him a deal as well. 1.4 grand a week. Let's try and work it down a bit more, actually. He's got another club after him, but they're in the Scottish Championship. So I hope he wouldn't reject us for them, but you never know. He might just want first team football. So we've brought it down a little bit again. We'll have to negotiate as we go along, so you'll have to bear with me on this one. It's almost the most painful part of the game, but it is the most realistic. The players and agent deals take so long to conclude as everyone wants the best for their client. Moncur's probably the better backup option for us, a natural playmaker, a good backup in both positions, and at 30 again a player with that experience who can help get us over the line if we're up there come the end of the season. Hopefully he'll accept this one, 1,500 a week. We could even sign both as we need a player in both positions. But let's go through the day. It doesn't look like there's going to be as much action as we first intended, so we'll be back when we get news from either of these free agents or a remarkable deal for someone going out. All the things we weren't expecting are happening today. It's the Carabao Cup 3rd round draw. Let's just go through all of the teams and see who we get. The next team is Arsenal. We're taking an away game there. It's Birmingham City. We didn't want that. Not a good tie there. Leicester away would be fine, but they've got Billericay. That's a good tie. We don't really want Watford. That's not a great tie. Norwich again isn't great. Wolves would do, that's not bad, but we've missed out on that one as well. Everton away, again a good tie, but we're not able to get it. Coventry would be a rubbish game, but that's City out the hat as well. Newcastle away would be nice for us. They've drawn Crystal Palace. Southend, I guess if we wanted to get through, Southend of League 2 is a good one to get, but again we've missed out. Cardiff away, not the best tie. We don't really want Championship and League 1 clubs. Burnley away, that would be a decent game. Again we lose out. We've got a home tie. Liverpool, United and Chelsea are all left, and Spurs for that matter. And then on the other scale, we've got Northampton and Fylde too. So I'd quite like one of the worst teams actually. A 4th round tie would be great. Cross your fingers everyone. It's Tottenham Hotspur, we can't complain. And as you'll see tomorrow, the symmetry between the two saves is just unparalleled. We're going to have 2 identical episodes. We've got the 3rd round of the Carabao Cup coming up tomorrow in the head coach. That's our home to Tottenham Hotspur. And then the following day, we're going to have to show it on camera for Torquay. It's probably the biggest this game we've played in the series. So brilliant stuff. A bit like the start of Season 5, where we just had the exact same team at the start of the season in both saves in the same league. And this time around, we've got it in the Carabao Cup third round. I've got to show you it in both series. They're both huge games for lower league opposition to play at home to Spurs. So that'll be the next episode here. But what a wonderful draw and a brilliant bit of symmetry between the two series. Let's get rid of the rest of the draw. Some big ties there, including United, Chelsea. So certainly an interesting draw there for the Carabao Cup. We've got confirmation we'll be facing them, and I've no doubt that'll end up on TV. It doesn't look like there's going to be any transfer news soon. We've taken young Darcy on trial, and we'll just see how he gets on. We'll be back either for the Wigan game, or when we get a news of someone joining. Right, we're back for kick-off time against Wigan. No news on either of the transfers joining us yet, so we've got no backup in the number 10 role for today, but hopefully after the international break, we'll have that opportunity. I know we're in League One, but we've got so many players who are internationals that we've lost both of our games during that period. So let's go and have a look at the lineup for today and see if we're the favourites for it. Wigan are slight favourites. We're both in identical form in the last 5 games. It's just that Wigan won their first game of the season and we didn't manage to do that. They're unbeaten in the league, but they've got only 1 draw to their name, whereas we're 3-3. We're pretty much at full strength for today. You could have picked the 11 beforehand. Let's go through them quickly. It's Alex Bass in goal. Richards and Kenlock the fullbacks with Williams and Byrne in the middle. McDonald and Butcher in central midfield. Chapman on the left-hand side, Stacey the attacking right winger, and Crawford in behind Owen Jack up front as they continue to build their blossoming partnership. We've got the likes of Broja, Lewis, List and McComb on the bench, so real game changers if we need them, and hopefully we'll be able to add an attacking midfielder to that next week. You've never met the guy at the bottom of the screen. It's just because the under-18s game has already been played and he was the only person who didn't take part. So it's better than not having a substitute at all. We've just given a young lad some experience on the bench. If by chance we're winning 5 or 6-0 near the end, which I highly doubt in this one, then we get a chance to give a youngster a minute or two on the pitch. So let's get into the game. Just hope we can get something out of it. Anything other than a defeat is a good result against this side. We've just got to keep ground with the top of the table teams. A 4-4-2 for Wigan. We're obviously slightly unique at this level now with our asymmetrical formation. Let's assertively tell the lads, go on and pick up where you left off, and fingers crossed they'll do just that. Who's got the kick-off? It's Wigan to start us off, and Baker's got the ball at the back for Herring. He goes long over the top for them. Kenlock gets there nice and easily, and he goes back to Alex Bass in goal. Since the last episode of both series where we started Season 6, we've put so much effort into set pieces, making it work for us so we get the most opportunities to score goals, defending them in particular to make sure we don't lose silly goals, unnecessary chances going in, and then if they score a long shot they do. Byrne's going to get sent off here. I've never seen him do that in years at the club, and within 3 minutes it's going to be backs against the wall time. Stacey drops to the right of midfield. We're going for a point now, everyone. Crawford's off after 3 minutes. He's going to be replaced. We haven't got a centre half on the bench, so Shay Facey will come on. I'm not sure who's the best at the back out of the two of them. Facey's a decent centre half and fairly good in the air, but he can't jump well. Richards can't play there at all, so I guess that makes our mind up for us. Everything we just said, all the positivity around the club and the transfer window, and I think we're just about to lose our first game of the season. We're going to drop to cautious, play for set pieces, be more disciplined. We've still got Reece Williams in the air. We're going to time waste as much as possible. I would say go a little bit more direct, but we've only got Owen Jack up front. Is there anything else we can do at the back? Slow the pace down, regroup when we've lost possession instead of counter-pressing, and we're going to drop our defensive and pressing lines as well. I don't know if that will make any difference and if we'll have any success, but we've got to try something. I'm sure we'll probably concede a screamer from here just to make amends. In it goes, bottom corner. I don't know why I said make amends, it's not what I meant. But after 5 minutes we're behind, and it's another fantastic goal from Wigan. It's going to be a long old day, and for the first time in 4 or 5 years, our club captain's let us down. We've got a free kick on the left. We haven't had a shot yet. There's not been a highlight since, but it's into Williams at the back post. He's normally a threat in the air, but it was a half volley from the centre half, and it's a great save to tip it behind by the keeper. We've had possession since the sending off. We've really dominated it, actually. We've been outplayed by Wigan. We haven't seen any clear-cut chances or highlights, though, so the lads have nullified them really well. But here they come with Morsey down the right. He gets it inside to McWilliams, and now it's a corner for Wigan. Camacho to the back post. Free header and it's in, And as I said, all that work we did on set pieces, and it's just been undone now because we've lost one of our big markers at the back. Shea Facey was probably marking him and just couldn't handle it with his lack of height. McDonald's got the ball in the middle of midfield. He goes over the top. Owen Jack could produce some magic. He's in one-on-one, but it's great defending, and it's deflected behind for a corner. And remarkably, it's the first clear-cut chance of the match, and it's fallen to us even though we're 2-0 and a man down. Into the back post, Facey's lost out in the air, and not only that, he's decided to give away a foul as well. We're nearly at the break, we're 2-0 down, and it's probably about the best we could have hoped for after 4 minutes. Let's go and talk to the lads. The 10 that are on the pitch we can't do much about. We're going to tell them we're a man down, but we can still get a result. Sean Taylor's telling us to rip into the lads, and that's just not going to help. We are going to rip into Johnny Byrne, though. He's never let us down in 5 years, but I'm disappointed in him for what he did today. The fact he was such a poor tackle as well, and the fact he hasn't reacted to that's quite annoyed me too. Let's go out for the second half. If it's still only 2 coming towards the end of the match, then we will go all out attack for the last 10 or 15, but if there's more than 2 in it, we'll just try and avoid embarrassment. It's a long clearance towards Owen Jack, and it's going to be 10 aside now. We might be able to change this game and change our approach to it. Let's see what formation they go to. They've gone 4-4-1 as well, so let's get back to what we used to do. We can dominate the game again now. Forget about all the rest of this nonsense. We've taken the time wasting and discipline formation off. We don't want to play for set pieces because we've lost our big centre half. We're going to distribute quickly and counter press back to what we were before and push them lines up. 2 teams playing a 4-4-1 and now we're back in with a sniff. Can we hit some goals on the counter? Fotheringham with a long clearance. We might go 2 up front towards the end with a big target man, but I don't know who on earth I'd take off. Blackett gets the ball into the box. Back post to Camacho, but it's straight at Bass, who makes a comfortable save. We're going to demand a bit more from the lads now. It's 10 on 10 and they've got no excuse not to compete. 20 minutes to go. We're going to make a couple of subs. We've got to give ourselves a chance. Which one of the wingers has been worst? Neither of them actually. They've both done a really good job. I might rest one of the midfielders, but we've got 2 weeks off after this. Chapman's going to come off. We're going to bring on Armando Broja, and we're just going to go all out attack. Kenlock's an attacking fullback on the other side, so he'll be able to do something for us. A target man on attack, and in possession we're going to go a little bit more direct now, as we've got plenty of options up there, and 2 big men who can hold it up. In transition, we're also going to aim our kicks towards the target man, take long kicks for the keeper, and fingers crossed he can find them. It's all about accuracy from this point on, and we don't know how successful that's going to be. We are going to think about bringing on Adam Lewis at left back in the future, and maybe even pushing him up to a left wing back, so we'll see how that progresses as we go on. We've got to throw with Richards. We'll certainly do it if we get one back. Owen Jack with a shot. Fotheringham tips it wide. Our long throws cause absolute chaos. It's back to the Jack Payne days in the National League. They're not quite as good, the long throws, but we've got a better tactic set up. The ball's out for another corner as we're piling on the pressure now. We've almost leveled up the shot count as well, and hopefully Wigan will be tired from chasing. Williams hits the bar. We got our danger man on the end of it, and now they're 1-on-1 in attack because we haven't got the extra man back. Camacho skinned his man, puts it across, but McDonald does brilliantly to recover. Wigan have got the ball 25 yards out with Thomas. Evans gets it wide to McWilliams. He gets it inside to Thomas again, and now Evans. He's got time to switch it, but he's going to go for a screamer, and Bass has had to make a really good save there. We're just going to see out the corner, and then we are going to make our final change, and just give ourselves a bit more of a chance down the left. Bass has made another fantastic save. We're going to concede chances now, as we've completely changed our normal routine, but hopefully we'll be able to produce something special, and at least create a grandstand finish. Blackett over the top, which Facey heads away. McDonald flicks it on as well as Jack, and now Stacey comes charging down the right. He's got in behind. Blackett's surely fouled him, but nothing given. Butcher gets it out to Stacey again. He delivers to Owen. Jack is headed away, and it was the wrong man on the end of it, and let's make our final change. We've got Kenlock playing at left back. He's been okay, but we're going to push it forward a bit, and for the first time employ a wing back in this series. Lewis will come on in his preferred role. I think he can attack well as well, so we're going to do that, and the same for Stacey on his side of the pitch. We're leaving no one at the back now, bar the 3 defenders. Let's see if we can drag Sonny out of this game towards the end, and we're going to go attacking 2 for the last 10 minutes. It's made no difference at all. We haven't seen a highlight. The 3 minutes of stoppage time are up. The ball's cleared away and it's full time. It's a 2-0 defeat. We let in our 2 goals when it was 11v10, and aside from that we competed well. We still dominated possession and created our fair share of chances, including the only clear-cut one of the match. So a good effort from the lads, but we were let down by our skipper there, and that's the only reason we lost. It does mean we've lost some ground. The lads are unhappy they've lost, which is really good to see. Johnny Byrne didn't react. He's probably just sat in the corner quietly, and hopefully he'll learn from that and never do it again. We'll have a quick look at the table and what the media said about the game, and then we'll have a look at when we'll be back for that Tottenham match, how many games we've got in between, and if we can claw back our gap to the top. We're still in 8th place, but it's a 7-point gap now. We're nowhere near that bottom half of the table, but we really want to be a bit closer as time goes on. It's our first defeat in all competitions this season, so we can't be too disappointed, and it was only due to a man deficit, which we rarely have to concede. The media have called it an ill-tempered affair. I presume that's just because there were 2 red cards. Wigan got their fair share of yellows as well, before we got one in the last minute of the match. Byrne's been banned for a game. We're definitely not going to appeal it, and we're also going to fine him 2 weeks' wages, as we're never going to get that back. He's going to end up being banned for 3 or 4 games, as it was an atrocious tackle. At least we got a bit of money off the wage bill though, so every cloud has a silver lining. We finally lose our first in 9 games. That's just unfortunate, going on for the last 3 games of last season as well. Johnny Byrne accepts his fine. He didn't really have another choice, did he? Let's have a look at the schedule. We've got the 3 games in between now and the Tottenham tie in the Carabao Cup. One of them's against their under-23 side in the Checkatrade Trophy, and we've got 2 big league games as well, against 2 other sides that will have promotion aspirations this year. So it should be an interesting 3 games, and then we'll obviously be back for that big one against Spurs. After that, presuming we go out, we'll leave a bigger gap between the next few episodes, just to make sure this season doesn't drag on for too long. But if you did enjoy this episode, please put a thumbs up on it. Let me know down in the comments what you think of our side, and which one of the 2 number 10s do you think's best. I'm leaning towards Moncur just because he's a natural in central midfield, and because he's more experienced as well, but let me know what you think. I might just be being biased because he's at Luton in real life. Subscribe to the channel for daily FM19 content from my 2 long-term stories. Things are hotting up in both series. We've got a massive tie against Tottenham in the next episode from both of them, so hopefully you'll enjoy those. I apologise in advance if it makes things confusing, but I'm not creating the symmetry here. Blame the FM gods. But a massive thanks for watching this one and your continued support on the series, and we'll see you next time for that big Carabao Cup tie.